Okay, so in essence, what I want to discuss with you is the different modes that you have for your vehicle. So most vehicles, or most 4x4, it's pretty simple. You have 2H, 4H, and 4 low. So now what does that mean? So in 2H, it means that two of the wheels will have power. It can be either in the front or in the back. Mostly like in the Fortuner or most buckies, they are usually rear wheel drive. So all the power goes to the rear wheels. Then the next mode, it's 4H. Now 4H means 4x4 high range. That means the power gets split between the front and the back 50-50. Now in some vehicles you do have a center differential that you need to lock. So they might be in four-wheel drive, but they're not really in 4x4 high range, meaning the power might end up only going to one wheel. So to keep it simple, you're going from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive in 4H, but you are still at the gear ratio that you would have on a normal road when you're driving, and that's where you mostly will use 2H as well. It's the most economic way to drive, to have your vehicle in two-wheel drive. Now the next one that you have is 4x4 low range. So then you go through a transfer case, and that reduces the gearing of your vehicle. This means you can drive much slower but at a higher torque. Now how do you select the mode? So usually the vehicle will be in 4x2 in H2. This is what the dial looks like on the Fortuner, but it will look similar on other vehicles, or you will have the same signage there. So you will have H2 for high range, which means two-wheel drive. H4, that means 4x4 in high range, and then you have low range L4. Now to make it simple, to show you how it works on my vehicle, is basically I can go from H2 to H4 just by flicking the switch on the fly. On a gravel road I can do it. On a tar road, don't do it. You will damage your axles, because there will be tension build up in your axles and you can damage your vehicle. So don't drive in 4H on sealed surfaces. Only do it on gravel roads. Then obviously if you go to tougher conditions, then you go to low range. And how it works with the manual vehicle, it needs to be in first gear, clutch pressed in, and then you press the button in and you go to low range. Now you've got the modes figured out, but now we come with the problem, but there's a diff lock. What does a diff lock do? Oh, my vehicle's got traction control. What does traction control do? What happens if I switch off traction control? And in the following couple of clips, I'm going to try and show you the difference between all the modes. What I'm going to show you now is what happens if you leave your vehicle in 4x4, but you switch off all the traction aids. So you will see initially the vehicle go forward, power to all four wheels, but the moment you've got wheels in the air in the cross axle, your vehicle is going nowhere. It's just spinning, like you can see what is happening. The next thing that you want to do is you will probably, or you most likely won't switch it off like I did for the demonstration. So what you will do is you will probably enter an obstacle if you're inexperienced, not knowing what mode you're in, so you mostly will have your traction control aids on. Now as you can see, the wheels start to spin. Now this is now where you need to understand what the traction control does. If you just leave it and you don't give it a little bit of extra power, it's just gonna spin. But what you do is you slightly press the accelerator, so for the wheel speed to pick up. The car will then realize, but listen, power is going to the wheels that's got no traction. So what I will do is they will break those wheels, and all of a sudden the traction will go to the power will go to the wheels that has got traction, and that will pull you through the obstacle, like you can now see in this clip. If you will see, it's the wheel started spinning, and you just give it a little bit of power and then it pulls it through. Now the next thing is Diff Lock. Now that's a lot of people prefer not to use their Diff Lock. They feel it's too easy, then it's a bit of a cheat code, but I think it's a very good tool, especially if you're maybe not experienced with picking the right line, or if you just don't want to cause any damage to the track that you're driving. You're driving somewhere in Botswana, you don't really want to spin extra holes there, and it's also the most effective way to get out of a situation. So then you switch on your Diff Lock, you've got a switch for that, and also you feel what you will do is you will switch it on before you enter the obstacle. So you do it when you see there's going to be an issue that you will lose traction on some of your wheels. You switch on a Diff Lock. That means the rear two wheels have a split 50-50 all the time. It's not like you will, when you lose traction on the one, all the power will go to that one. So those two wheels will turn at the same speed, and then that pushes you nicely through the obstacle, and it's actually very nice controlled, and there's not a lot of wheel spin involved. Now you will ask me, but why can't we drive on 4H on tar road? The thing is, like I said, you will put stress on your drivetrain. I will try to demonstrate it with you with the following. I've took an aerial shot, and the first part of this, you will see I'm driving in 2H. So you can see I've got a specific turning circle, and it's nice and tight. I can make my turn all the time. What I did then is I turn on 4H. Now you can see the turning circle is much larger, and that's because of the power now goes to axles. It means that wheels wants to turn at the same speed, but it's not possible, or it's happening, but it makes it impossible for you to turn tightly. So you will see that the wheels are spinning and the turning circle is much larger. So that's what's happening in 4H. You will hear that slip, and that's basically the stress that's in the axle that's being let go on a gravel road. There's enough slip for it, or it allows enough slip so that the tension can let out. Now you can think, if there's a tar road, there's much more grip, and where's that stress going? Now, to demonstrate it further, what the effect is of Diff Lock, although it makes your wheels turn nicely and you drive you through the obstacles, you sometimes cannot use it because you cannot it doesn't allow you to turn tight enough. Now, to demonstrate this to you, see what happens when I put my Diff Lock on. I really struggle to turn, and first of all, I cannot use it in 4H. I need to go to 4 low, and that makes it not always advisable to use Diff Lock in situations where you need to turn tightly. And for me, that's where the benefit of traction control comes in, because you know you're going to lose traction, but you need a turning circle, and that's where you can use your traction control to get out of certain situations where you need a tighter turning circle. Now, what some of the modern vehicles have, they have like a 4A, so that's like automatic 4x4. So the vehicle will decide for you where it's going to send the power. What's nice about vehicles that has got this is that your turning circle will basically be similar to what I've shown you in a video in 2H, because it's not really four-wheel drive where the power is sent 50-50 to the front and the back. So what can happen with this type of system, if you have one wheel in the air, potentially all the power can go to that wheel. The traction control aids will kick in to help you, but that's not really a mode I would use when I drive off-road. But what's nice is this allows you to drive in four-wheel drive on tar roads. Now, if you look at the difference between the two ratios, high range and low range, because what I've noticed is that there's a lot of videos doing reviews where you see they drive over cross axles and they do it in 4H, and then they are trying to test the traction control of the vehicle and saying, no, the traction control is not that good, or some vehicles are good at doing it. Now, that's completely wrong. That's not what it was. The vehicle was not designed to do that. It can do it, but you're putting stress on your vehicle. You want to drive, you will never drive that fast through that obstacle in a real life scenario. So what they actually should have done is they should have driven a bit faster, then they would not have had traction issues. But then they would have damaged the vehicle because it's like wheels in the air. So to be in more control of your vehicle and to protect the vehicle in situations like this, you will go to low range, where you've got much more control. And you will also put less strain on the vehicle. So for me, it's absolutely useless tests. I believe it's better to see, you know what the obstacle is, you will use 4x4 low range. It's basically using the right tool for the job. The best way to understand your vehicle's 4x4 system is actually go on 4x4 training. There are a lot of people doing training. If you're interested, put it in the comments as well. But just to see what your vehicle and feel what your vehicle does in certain situations, you get a feeling of it. You can feel how the wheels grip, which one is in the air sometimes, and things like that. So it's a case of training your vehicle. You can look at videos like this. There are many of them trying to explain it. I've tried to explain it as simple as I can, but the best is get out to a trail and go test it for yourself and feel how your vehicle reacts. I think at the end of the day, you bought something with a low range gearbox, so use it. You actually need to use it. All the mechanical parts need to move from time to time, so just take it out on a trail and enjoy it. I hope this video was useful, and that it clarified some questions that you might have. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.